Once that's thoroughly cleaned and any parts repaired or replaced that need to be, we can just put it all back together. And we'll start doing that also in the reverse order. Now you might need to come up real close for this part right here. In fact, I might need to come up close to you. Let me know if that's not in good focus there. That's good. Can you see that little projection of that spring sticking up right there? That little projection right there. That is going to need to be lodged into that little outpouching of the hole that houses it. There's another little projection to this spring on the bottom, and that fits into a little hole in the magazine release right there. So that has to be in place, and this upper part has to be in place, both at the same time. It's probably what led the World War II manuals and training films to forbid the removal of this part. However, we're going to, just this once, take it down and show you. And so we're going to start putting that right back in. We're going to ease this back. And that's just barely in there. Bring this around. And then just apply straight pressure. Almost there. Now it's completely housed and works just great. Next, we're going to put the trigger and its spring, and also the disconnector and its spring. Now the disconnector, I'll take it out in just a second. That's the disconnector spring. It sits inside a little notch on the rear of the trigger. And this is very important. The disconnector spring has a lot to do with helping the trip hold the bolt open after the last shot, and it has everything to do with the semi-automatic fire along with the rocker. And we're going to just set that back in. And it works fine just like that. And we're going to set the trigger into place. We're also going to set the trip over it. That's the magazine trip. Then we're going to set the sear and sear lever into place. Sear lever goes slightly under the lip of the sear. We're going to drop that in so that that's sitting and resting right on top of the disconnector. And once those are in like that, we're going to take our full length of the thumb like we kind of did before, and then line it up. There's holes in these for the pivot plate to go through. Try to get those sort of lined up pretty well. Then we're going to insert the pivot plate back in its position. And this is going to have to be done without much canting. In other words, a nice straight pull, although I find that this is very difficult to do without any canting at all. Just a little working of the internals in a couple of seconds, or maybe a few more than a couple. It'll sit all the way nice and flush the way it's supposed to be. Now once that's in, we can put the rocker and the rocker pivot back through, or the select fire switch. That'll go through like that. Now that is an unusually shaped asymmetrical rod that will go through the, get a little close in of that, and you see that pretty close, like that. There. That is the rocker, and when this is up and the bolt comes down, it'll catch that and push that down, which will hit the disconnector and allow the sear to come up and only allow one shot at a time, basically. An ingenious thing. Really incredible. Now this is going to go with the large flat part right against the sear lever. And just put the pivot through it right there until it comes forth against the that part of the pivot plate. Once again, we'll use our actuator corner to lower that, and as we lower that, we're going to push the pivot on up to catch. And it's working just fine like that. On the next video, we'll go over the dynamics of some of these motions and how they all work together to do what they need to do. Lastly, well, almost lastly, we'll put the safety back in to its slot. We're going to have that fixed so that that's barely pushing up on that pivot plate arm. Now this is looks thin, but this is a very high grade of steel and a very strong arm, so you need to sort of bolster your thumb against the bottom of the frame to really bring a lot of pressure just down on that part right below where it's going to fit into the safety lever. Once that's done, the safety lever works again. And when we put the handle back on and screw it in, we've got good working of the inner parts. Can you see that, camera person? Oh, thank you. My lovely camera person. Now, we're going to take a pause here and then we'll look at some of the dynamics of these things. Okay, Gwen.